Welcome to Let Jesus Be Your Doctor, the true path to healing for body and soul.
Welcome to this deep dive. Today we're stepping into a very different kind of space.
We really are. It's a profound shift in tone for us.
Yeah, exactly. Our mission today is not our usual, rapid fire synthesis of data points or historical facts.
Right. No rushing today.
No. We are deliberately slowing down the pace. I really want to invite you, the listener, to just quiet your mind.
Just take a breath.
Exactly, because the goal today is to let the original spiritually weighted words of our source material speak directly to your soul.
It's a more contemplative journey.
It really is. We're examining excerpts from a series titled Let Jesus Be Your Doctor, the true path to healing for body and soul.
Such a powerful title.
Right. And specifically, we're spending our time inside an installment called The Power of Faith.
Which is... it's a topic that carries so much weight.
It does, because usually, we think of faith as a thought, right?
A cognitive exercise.
Yeah, like a mental checklist. We nod our heads and say, yes, I believe this concept is true.
Or that this historical event happened.
Exactly. It's neat. It's confined entirely to the electricity flashing between the synapses in our brains.
But the foundational thesis of the text today challenges that completely.
It really does. It suggests that faith isn't just a thought at all.
No, it introduces faith as an inner knowledge.
An inner knowledge. Let's just sit with that phrase.
It's a knowing that God is working, even when we cannot yet see it.
Right. And to really grasp this, we have to look at the overarching theme of these excerpts.
Yes, the concept of the Heilstrom.
The healing stream.
Exactly. The text describes this continuous, infinite healing stream of God.
And it posits that faith is the literal mechanism, the open door that allows this divine power to penetrate and heal.
It's the access point.
Yeah. So let's dive into the first direct revelation here from Bertha Dudde.
I think this sets the stage perfectly.
It does. The text says, faith is the gate through which you enter my kingdom.
The gate.
Right. Without faith, you remain outside.
That's a stark image. Remaining outside.
It is cold, isn't it? It goes on. Even if you know of me, only he who believes opens himself to my working, and I can act in him.
There's so much to unpack there.
There really is. It draws this razor-sharp line between knowing of God and truly believing.
It does, because knowing of something is passive.
Yeah, you can read a book about the ocean.
Right, you can know all the facts about the water temperature, the tides.
But you aren't wet.
Exactly. You're still standing on the beach.
You remain outside.
Yes. The text says that only he who believes opens himself to the working.
So it's an action.
A deliberate, vulnerable action. The divine requires the individual to consciously open themselves.
Okay, let's unpack this with an analogy.
Sure.
It's like a gate to a fortress, right? But this gate only has a handle on the inside.
Oh, I like that.
God's healing stream, this immense Heilstrom, is waiting just outside the gate.
It's pressing against the wood.
Yes, but the individual inside the fortress must actually reach out and turn the handle of faith to let it flow in.
Because God respects the architecture of human free will.
He won't break the door down.
No. He waits for the handle to be turned.
Which asks a really profound question of you listening right now.
It really challenges the listener.
Are you just, knowing of God's healing, standing inside the fortress, analyzing the door?
Or are you actively opening the gate?
Right. Are you turning the handle to let his power actually act within you?
Turning that handle takes immense courage.
It does. Especially when you're exhausted by suffering.
Which is exactly what the text addresses next.
Yes, in section 2, it's Revelation number 3660.
Titled, Power of Faith, Help in Every Need.
Help in every need. Let me read this excerpt slowly because the weight of it is just, wow.
Take your time.
It says, in every need you may approach me for help, even if the fulfillment of your request seems impossible to you.
Even if it seems impossible.
Let's just pause there. It validates the human experience of impossibility.
It doesn't tell us to pretend things are fine.
Right. It doesn't say, hey, just be optimistic.
When you look at a terminal diagnosis or absolute financial ruin, the rational mind calculates that it is impossible.
And the text acknowledges that, even if it seems impossible to you.
But then it introduces a higher law.
Yes. The text continues, what seems impossible to you is overcome by my power and my love.
Power and love.
That synthesis is incredible.
It really is the theological core of how the impossible is overcome.
Because I mean, think about it. If you just have power without love, what is that?
That's a hurricane. It's destructive force.
Right. You don't approach a hurricane for help, you hide from it.
Exactly. And love without power.
That's like a parent watching their child suffer, but they have no medical ability to fix it.
It's deeply tragic. They have infinite love, but no power to heal.
But the text is saying the divine possesses both.
The exact synthesis. The power to move the mountain and the love to ensure its move through wonderful guidance in his will.
Yes, wonderful guidance in my will.
But there's a condition attached to this, isn't there?
There is.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets really interesting, but also, frankly, challenging.
How so?
Well, the text asks for full confidence. And my pushback is, how does one actually demonstrate full confidence when our human instinct is to completely panic?
Right. When faced with an impossible need, your biology demands panic.
Exactly. The cortisol spikes. Your heart races. Are we supposed to just suppress that terror and put on a fake smile?
No, and that's the beauty of this. The text doesn't demand the absence of panic.
It doesn't.
No, it demands the redirection of it.
Redirection. Okay, explain that.
It says to approach for help. When you're terrified, you don't pretend you aren't scared. You take that raw, agonizing human terror and you run to the shelter with it.
You bring the panic to the divine.
Exactly. You throw the entirety of your impossible terror onto his power and love.
Oh, wow. So the act of running to him while trembling, that is the full confidence.
Yes. It's trusting the shelter to hold you, even while you are shaking inside of it.
That completely reframes it for me.
And that reframing leads to the final stunning line of this revelation.
Let me read it. It says, and according to his faith, his life's destiny is shaped.
Just let that sink in.
According to his faith, his life's destiny is shaped. That is heavy.
It elevates faith from a passive hope to the active architect of one's destiny.
It really does. It's not just a coping mechanism to feel better.
No, it implies an active sculpting process.
So if I maintain a posture of deep trust, even in my terror, I am literally shaping my destiny.
You are configuring your reality to receive that wonderful guidance.
And if I harden into cynical closure,
Then you sculpt the destiny that remains outside the gate.
wow, that's a profound responsibility.
It is, which naturally leads to the question of how. How do we hold that posture?
Right, what does that actually look like in real time?
The text introduces the concept of hingabe.
Hingabe, surrender.
Yes, the discussion shifts entirely to this idea of surrender,
Healing happens when we stop fighting and say, Lord, thy will be done.
which is so countercultural.
Oh, completely. Like
Yeah.
we are taught to fight everything.
Fight the illness, fight the economy, fight the circumstance.
But the text is saying the key to the healing stream is putting down our weapons.
Bruno Gröning is quoted here.
Let me read his exact words. Who believes connects himself with God. Who doubts separates himself.
Connects and separates,
Through faith, man absorbs the healing stream.
absorbs it, like a sponge taking in water.
Yes, and the text links this to Matthew 17:20. The faith of a mustard seed moving mountains.
Because faith is framed here not as an emotion, but as a spiritual substance.
Okay, faith as a spiritual substance, not a feeling.
Right. We often confuse faith with an emotional high.
We really do. If I feel peaceful, I have faith. If I wake up depressed or numb, I think I've lost it.
But Gröning's concept, this channel of divine power, it operates independently of your emotional weather.
So what does this all mean? It's almost like tuning a radio dial.
A radio dial. I like that analogy.
Think about it. The radio waves, God's healing stream, they are always present in the air around us.
They don't disappear just because you can't hear the music.
Exactly. They are a constant substance. Doubt is like turning the dial to static.
It separates us from the broadcast.
Yeah. But faith, this surrender, it tunes the channel perfectly. We stop fighting the static and just tune in, absorbing the signal.
And that signal is a tangible spiritual substance, like the mustard seed.
Right, the mustard seed. It's microscopic, but it physically contains the entire blueprint of a massive tree.
It doesn't need to feel optimistic to grow. It just contains the encoded reality.
Which brings up a really crucial transition for us.
Where does the text take us next?
Well, if faith is this tangible spiritual substance that we absorb, how does it actually bridge the gap between our silent prayers and our physical reality?
How does the invisible move the visible mountain?
Exactly. And the text moves to Derek Prince to explain this.
This is a very powerful section.
It is. Prince writes, faith is that which draws God's promise into your reality.
Draws it in.
It is the bridge between the unseen and the seen.
A bridge.
And then he says this, and this is the part we really need to sit with. When you pray, Imagine how God's power is already flowing. Not sometime, but now.
Not sometime, but now.
The emphasis on now is staggering.
It's a complete disruption of how we normally pray.
It really is. I mean, we are so uncomfortable with immediate divine intrusion.
We constantly push grace into a hypothetical tomorrow.
We say, Lord, please heal me sometime next year, or provide for me sometime next month.
Because if we say sometime, it protects us.
It protects our ego from immediate disappointment.
Exactly. If we expect it now and it doesn't happen visually in the next 5 seconds, we feel devastated.
But Derek Prince is dismantling that safety net.
Completely. He says faith is the bridge that violently anchors the eternal promise into this exact millisecond.
Into the now.
Yes. And the text builds on this immediately with a revelation from Louisa Picaretta.
Oh, the divine oxygen quote.
Yes. Read what she says.
She says, true faith is breathing in my divine will. You breathe God's will in and out like divine oxygen. And with every breath, it heals you deeper.
Divine oxygen.
It's such profound imagery.
It portrays faith not as a one-time event or a single desperate prayer.
No, it's a continuous life-sustaining ecosystem.
You don't just breathe once a week.
You would die.
Right. You breathe constantly. Faith is presented as that continuous respiration.
But I have to ask a question here, a pushback on behalf of anyone listening who might be struggling with this.
Of course, the challenging concept.
If we are commanded to speak His truth now, even when we don't see it yet, how do we distinguish between this profound faith and mere wishful thinking?
That is the most important distinction we can make.
Because they can look identical from the outside. If I'm ignoring my physical symptoms and saying, I am healed, am I breathing divine oxygen or am I just in denial?
The difference lies entirely in the point of origin.
The point of origin, what do you mean?
Wishful thinking, or what modern culture calls manifesting, relies entirely on the self.
Okay.
It's the human ego looking at pain, disliking it, and trying to psychologically force reality to change through sheer willpower.
So it's exhausting.
It's completely exhausting because it's just you. But true faith-breathing divine oxygen means abandoning the self.
Picaretta said, he who believes no longer lives from himself, but from me.
Exactly. Wishful thinking is trying to write your own script. Faith is laying down your pen and relying entirely on God's will to breathe through you.
So when you breathe in the divine oxygen, you are inhaling the trust of thy will be done.
Yes. You aren't forcing the universe to comply with your desires. You are allowing the Heilstrom to wash through your system.
And as the text says, with every breath, it heals you deeper.
It's a cellular, relentless process.
Which brings us to a complementary concept in the text, section 5.
The writings of Thomas à Kempis.
Yes, from the Imitation of Christ. The source text quotes him directly. Trust in God in all things. For he who trusts in men becomes weak. He who trusts in God becomes strong.
A timeless truth.
And the commentary added in the text says, true strength is stillness in trust. If you let yourself be carried by God's hand, you lose nothing. You find everything.
True strength is stillness.
It's a total paradox.
It really is, especially in our culture.
I mean, can you elaborate on Kempis's specific warning here? Why exactly does trusting in human power make us weak, while leaning into this divine stillness makes us strong?
Well, think about human power. It is inherently finite.
It runs out.
Always. If you build your foundation on your own intelligence or your bank account or even the most reliable people in your life,
It's still a fragile foundation.
right. Eventually, a storm comes that is stronger than your human foundation. And when it cracks, you burn all your remaining energy trying to hold the walls up.
And you become weak, exhausted.
Exactly. But when you trust in God, you transfer the structural load of your life onto the infinite.
You don't have to hold the walls up anymore.
No. And because you aren't holding up the walls, you can afford the luxury of stillness.
Wow. Stillness isn't giving up. It's confidence that the bridge won't collapse.
Precisely. And I think we should ask the listener to examine their own life right now.
Yeah, please do.
Ask yourself, are you exhausting yourself by trying to force solutions through human effort?
Are you frantically treading water?
Or are you allowing your heart to open to the divine light?
Because Bruno Gröning adds to this point in the text. He says faith is like an open heart.
The wider it opens, the more light flows in.
And it becomes a healing spring.
A closed heart is defensive, it's barricaded.
And dark.
Yes, opening it is a terrifying risk, but it's the only way the light of the Heilstrom can enter.
And when it does, the text says you become a spring. The healing flows from the inside out.
It's a beautiful transmutation.
It really is. And, we spent a lot of time analyzing the theology of this.
The architecture of the gate.
Right. But the text doesn't just leave us with theory.
No, it shifts into practice.
It really pivots. It transforms into an active practice. And we are going to honor the text by doing the exact same thing right now.
We are going to intentionally practice the mechanics of trust.
Yes. Unless you are driving or operating machinery, I really invite you to physically participate in this with us.
It's time to grasp the handle on the inside of the gate.
We are going to guide you through the exact meditation provided in the text.
Step by deliberate step.
I want you to close your eyes.
Just let the frantic processing of the last hour settle.
Breathe deeply and evenly.
Notice the air filling your lungs.
That divine oxygen, let it expand your chest.
And slowly exhale.
Feel your heart become calmer, mirroring that stillness we just talked about.
Finding that quiet strength.
Within the quiet of your own mind, I want you to say these words quietly to yourself. I trust you, God. You know what is good for me.
Let those words echo. I trust you, God.
You know what is good for me.
Feel the physical sensation of peace beginning to take root.
Now, keeping your eyes closed, the text asks us to take the next step. I want you to visualize a situation in your life that you cannot solve.
That impossible need.
Bring it to the forefront of your mind, a heavy burden. Look directly at it.
Acknowledge the reality of it.
And say quietly, Lord, I put it in your hands.
I put it in your hands.
The text asks us to visualize this physically. Imagine your hand is clenched tight around this worry, white-knuckled.
Holding on desperately.
Now slowly begin to uncurl your fingers. Open your hand.
The act of surrender. Ingame.
Hand that heavy burden into a soft, warm light.
Let it detach from you entirely.
By letting the worry go, peace takes its place.
It's a spiritual vacuum. When you empty your hand of the worry, the stillness of God rushes in to fill the void.
And the text reiterates the ultimate promise here. Where there is faith, the healing stream flows.
Where there is faith, it flows.
You can open your eyes.
That's a profound transition.
Yeah.
From human worry to the peace of divine surrender.
It really is. We've journeyed from standing outside the closed gate, terrified by the impossible, to opening our hands in the stillness of trust.
It's a necessary recalibration for the soul.
Truly. We want to thank you for joining us in this sacred exploration today, for breathing with us.
It's been a privilege to unpack this.
As we look ahead, the source material actually leaves us with a tease for the next installment.
Oh, what does it say?
It says, in the next broadcast, we will hear the power of love, the divine fire in the heart.
The divine fire. If faith is the gate, love is the fire that sustains the kingdom.
Exactly. I cannot wait to dive into that.
But before we sign off, I want to leave the listener with a final provocative thought.
Please do.
Building on Louisa Picaretta's vision of faith as divine oxygen.
Right.
Think about what happens when you wake up tomorrow.
Okay.
The very first action your physical body takes is to draw in a deep breath of air.
To sustain life.
Yes. What if you viewed every single physical breath you take tomorrow, not just as a biological necessity, but as a conscious spiritual choice to inhale God's will?
Wow.
If the spiritual substance of faith is always in the air around us, waiting to be absorbed, how deeply will you choose to breathe it in tomorrow?
That is something to truly mull over. Carry the healing stream with you, everyone, and remember to let your heart rest in trust.
Until next time.
Breathe deep.